You went from a $600K offer to living in your mom's basement.
Like I gave up the job, like the premier job for computer science / math students. Quant researcher, big salary, big name brand company, to live in my mom's basement in Iowa in the winter.
Today we have a very special guest, my younger brother Aadil, his second time on the podcast. Expect to learn why Aadil left a $600,000 job offer at jump trading, something that me and most other people I know would have died for. What his life is like a year post-graduation from the University of California, Berkeley, after studying electrical engineering, computer science, mathematics, and statistics. And his advice for anyone who has dreams of financial freedom and entrepreneurship. And finally, what is quant really like? What is it like to be locked behind a desk for 50, 60, 70 hours a week, but also getting paid beyond your wildest imaginations? This episode is going to show you the truth of working in big tech and quant. This is episode 7 of Liftoff. Welcome aboard.
3, 2, 1, liftoff.
Aadil, welcome to the show yet again.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me, where did you go to university and what did you study?
I went to UC Berkeley and I studied EECS, which stands for Electrical Engineering and Computer Science, and Engineering, Math, and Statistics. So I double majored in those two.
And what was your GPA when you graduated?
Dude, what's my GPA? Why are you like asking me? It's on my LinkedIn. I graduated with a 3.87. Honestly, like I think I could have done better, but I fell off after my sophomore year.
Mm-hmm.
What had happened is that I don't know why I'm going into this. I don't know what the point of this is, but I had a 4.0 until my second semester sophomore year, and then I was taking a math class in partial differential equations, and basically my strategy for all my classes was never go to the lecture because I can learn it faster by myself. But many times, if I wasn't too enthusiastic about the subject in the class, I would kind of learn it all before the midterms or finals. You could kind of learn it really quickly. But the thing is for this class is that they actually taught stuff in the lectures that wasn't in the textbook. So I didn't even know what was going to be on the test. So I tried to like quickly learn stuff before the final, but then I ended up with a B+ in the class. So then once that happened, my second semester sophomore year, I convinced myself, okay, like grades don't even matter anyway. Like I don't care anymore. So after that, it kind of went downhill. I think second semester junior year, I had like a B and like an A- or something. And then my senior year, I had a B as well. So that's why I went 3.87.
Yeah. And
I don't know why I like justify like the whole the whole progression down.
That's good. I mean, in high school, I feel like for context, before this point, you never slipped even once, right?
Yeah, in high school, I had a 4.0 completely. Like
it was like a 4.8 or something weighted.
Yeah, weighted, but unweighted 4.0, never slipped
4.
even
And
once.
then for the first 2 years of college, you never slipped even once. And most people, they slip when they enter college because it's a lot harder than high school, a lot harder than what they used to. But I think this kind of speaks to the ability of you get what you accept.
Yeah, you get what you're willing to accept.
Exactly.
After I accepted my first B+, I was willing to accept like, I don't care anymore. Like, I'm just going to kind of like, if I don't care about the class, I'll just like not really do it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. And if you actually look at most people, I think most people, they struggle earlier in college than later, because later in college, the classes, maybe they're like more advanced, but they tend to be in general are less weeder classes. So they're more specific into your actual degree. And also you're more used to college. You know how to study skills. You're used to the difficulty of college. I feel like most people, they enter college in their first and second year and then they're hit by a train basically. And their grades fall off a cliff. But for you, it was the opposite because your standards had basically dropped.
Yeah.
So if you had kept your standards up for all 4 years, you probably, if you wanted to, you probably could have gotten a 4.0.
Also, like, what was the point of that question? Like, for reference, today we're at home for Thanksgiving, right? My mom's like, I'm going to interview you. I'm like, about what? It's like, I don't know. We're going to wing it.
Well, I'm trying to build ethos with you in the audience here. And I feel like having a 3.87 GPA, even though it's not 4, it's still pretty good ethos for a Berkeley electrical engineering computer science degree.
Yeah.
So that already built ethos in you. Anyway, that's why I asked that question, because I wanted to build ethos. And you told me that I had to do it in a structured manner. I couldn't just ask you to list your achievements.
Yeah.
So now let's go to some other achievements. So as soon as you basically stopped thinking that grades were all that, as they say, what else did you focus on? Could you kind of tell me more about your internship history in college?
Yeah. I think part of the reason why I stopped caring about my grades is because I had done my internships around that time and gotten a job offer for full-time. So then I was like, okay, like it really doesn't matter what my grades are now because I'm able to get a full-time job. So I guess I can go through my internship work history if you want.
Yeah, go ahead. List them one by one by
It's like
one.
one by one by one by
Yeah,
one.
list them one by
It's
one.
like go down my resume like
Yeah,
this.
yeah, one by one by one.
So my freshman year of college, I interned at John Deere. That was a software engineering internship, and it's actually headquartered in our hometown of the Quad Cities. So a lot of kids from the Quad Cities that do engineering, computer science, even finance business end up interning at John Deere their first couple of years out of college because our community is so connected with the company that's quite easy to get an interview and actually intern there if you're from the community. So not that it's like easy to intern there, but it's easy to get in the door, if that makes sense. Like it's easy for you to ask your uncle to like send your resume to the recruiter or something like that. So yeah, that was software. I was working on backend, mostly just like AWS, Node.js type stuff. Yeah, not much more to say about John Deere. I think.
Yeah. What
That
other
was a
offers did
COVID
you get?
There was during COVID. It was 2021, summer 2021. I hadn't even been to college yet. My first year was fully online. That internship was fully online. I only went to the office one day for the entire internship.
And
Yeah.
what other internships did you get in college? And what was the company and the salary for each of them?
Like the company and the salary for each of them. Dude, are you sure we should like go like
I'm trying to build ethos here. I'm trying to understand what did you do so we can move on past that point. Because if the audience listens to our first episode, we go for an hour through each of these.
Yeah.
I want for anyone who's new to understand where did you come from, what did you achieve, and then we can go on from that point.
Okay, fine. Yeah, so my internship after my second year was in quant. I became really interested in quant and quant trading / quant research throughout college, but didn't end up getting any offers in the industry my freshman year. My sophomore year, I ended up getting an offer to do quant trading at IMC. IMC is a company headquartered in Chicago. They're an HFT firm. They mainly focus on options market making. So yeah, I had a quant trading offer to do. I had an offer to do quant trading at IMC, and ended up taking that after my sophomore year. That was the summer of 2022. Actually, told me to like straight up say like all the numbers of these things. So keep in mind the quant salaries are very high. They're probably the highest salaries for both full time and internships in the tech sphere, and maybe close to like the highest compensation in general out of college if you look at career paths that people go into. But that internship, the total comp was around 50K, 51K. It was a 20K signing bonus and then 12.5K a month for 10 weeks. Now, like, if you look on levels.fyi, they've just increased the rates. So I think now they're pushing 70K or something.
What is
for
that per
someone.
hour? Because I think people don't really associate internships with total amount. So how much is that per hour?
It was
If
like
you-
130 about an hour.
$130 per hour for an internship.
Yeah.
And your housing was taken care of too.
Yeah. Housing was taken care of. They gave us an
Was
apartment.
it food too?
They gave us lunch.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But they also gave us an apartment in Chicago for
Yeah.
the internship.
Okay.
But this was 3 years ago or 2 years ago, but 3 cycles ago. Now, like, I'm pretty sure they've increased like the comp. Now it's at least 60, maybe 70. Like it just keeps going up and up and up.
Yeah, so it's like
More
$150,
competitive.
$160 per hour for these guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And what did you so you also that year you also got an Amazon offer as well
Yeah.
for software engineering?
Yeah.
And then if you go back to your freshman year, you had 1 or 2 final round interviews, right, for quant that you just failed.
I never made it to the final round freshman
Oh,
year.
okay. You had like an
I
Acuna
had-
interview or something.
I made it to like the round before the final round at Acuna. I made it to the second Jane Street round, and then I like got cut on the first round of SIG. I think that's only 3 I interviewed for freshman year.
Okay. And what happened to your junior year? What offers did you get then?
So IMC gave me a full-time offer after my internship, after my sophomore year of college. The total comp, like, depends how you prorate it. Like if it's 12 versus 16 months, because they have like different bonuses like after training and stuff, and when you get your bonus, but it's like about 330 to 350, maybe 360.
$360,000 per year.
Yeah, per year, but total like 15-month comp was 400 or something like that. I don't know, or 420, something like that. But around in that range, like call it 350 per year. Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
you also got Amazon that summer. What was the Amazon salary? Do you remember? It was 50 something dollars per hour.
I don't remember the Amazon salary, but
Okay.
that's something you can find online too. Like, that's
Yeah.
pretty
Now,
standard.
tell me a bit about your junior year stuff. So, what offers did you get in quant, software engineering? What were those numbers there?
So after IMC, I was kind of at a stage in life. I was like, okay, like, what do I do now? I just finished my sophomore year of college. I have this $350K offer to go be a quant at IMC. I'm 19, right? Like, what do I do? What do I do with my life now? So I was interested in tech because, like, okay, like I tried the quant thing. And I was like, let me try working at a big tech company in SF that's like focusing on building products in tech. So I got an offer to intern at Databricks that summer, but a recruiter for Jump Trading actually reached out to me in mid-October, and we had a coffee chat, and basically he said I was a good fit to interview for their quant research internship. And I was like, okay, I'll do the interviews. I ended up doing the interviews, and I got an offer there to do a quant research internship at Jump. And after considering like Databricks versus Jump, it was a tough decision, but it was basically hard for me to turn down the opportunity at Jump just because first, the role of quant research is quite selective, and I was very interested in it because you're able to actually combine, research methods with all the computer science, statistics, math stuff I was learning in college. And obviously the offer was great, and the people I was going to work with were extremely intelligent, top of their field, etc. So I decided to intern at Jump the next year.
And do you regret that decision, or do you think it was the right move?
No,
at
it was
the time?
100% the right move. It was
Okay.
1000% the right move.
To go for Jump. And what was that internship hourly rate? If you just kind of give an estimate here.
It was like 150 because total comp was
$150 per hour.
$60K.
And
If you count housing, it's more, but I'm not counting the housing.
Okay. And for Databricks, it was
50 an hour.
50 an hour.
Yeah.
So you were earning 3 times as much.
Yeah. And
Jump.
Databricks wasn't going to pay for the housing. They were going to give me like a stipend of $2K or something a month. So
Yeah. So it was definitely the right move to go for Jump.
yeah, I mean, not for the money, but like the opportunity, the people I was going to work with, what I was going to learn, etc. Like definitely.
Yeah.
They're
Now, if
right.
anyone's interested in all of Aadil's detailed experiences at these companies, the interview processes, how we got the return offer, you can listen to our first episode. But you got the return offer for Jump as well as IMC. So what was that return offer numbers now that you can be very public about exactly what you got as a return offer?
The return offer total comp was around 600K. Again, like it depends. Like the listed amount was 600 if you include all the bonuses plus yearly salary, but it depends how you prorate it. Because in quant, like you don't get all the bonuses like at the end of the year immediately. They generally have like prorating programs, but people just call it like total comp is 600K. So yeah, that was also, I believe that Jump is around top of market for quant. Like they give top of market offers. Yeah, not much to say other than that. Like in terms of the return offer rate at these places, they kind of vary depending on the year. But I would say like they're generally around 60 to 80% return offer rates. I think Jump generally has a higher return offer rate than other firms, but yeah, they kind of vary.
Yeah, so you were able to pull off a $600,000 per year offer at age 21.
20.
At age 20. A $600,000 return offer at age 20
Yeah.
after your junior year internship, because you're also young for your grade.
Yeah,
Kinda
I'm
like
a year
skip
young for my grade. So it's as if like after my sophomore year of college, I did an internship to like, okay, come back. We'll give you $600,000 per year.
So I also think the reason why they have such high return offer rates is because their bar is already so high just to get the internship in the first place.
Yeah.
So the bottleneck or the selection happens at the internship level.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Like it's very hard to get these internships. They're very selective. They really screen you for technical competence across a lot of different subjects like math, CS, statistics, etc. And then even at the internship, they're screening you again to see how you perform, if you're able to work well, are you working, etc.
Now, if you're struggling to find a software engineering internship or land a software engineering job, and you see this year as the year that you want to break into FANG, I actually run a school for computer science students called the Software Engineering Accelerator. If you want to work directly with me to land the internship of your dreams without spamming lead code, without building a pointless GitHub page, and without spending hours at career fairs, I'd love to hear from you. We actually guarantee internships, so every student who enters the program gets an internship guarantee. So check the link in the description and submit an application if you're interested in getting an internship that makes all your friends jealous. Now, when you got this offer, it was end of summer 2023. So this is about a year and a half ago when you pulled off this offer, and you signed it immediately, right?
Yeah.
You signed it immediately. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you entered your senior year after you got this offer, after you won the career game, as they say. You pulled off the most highest paying offer I've ever heard of anyone getting at least in my network. Maybe there's definitely other people out there who also did quant. Yeah. Very few, but I didn't know anyone who got more than $600,000 per year out of college. So you'd won the game. You were age 20, 21, you'd won the game. Yeah. So what was your mindset your senior year of college? How did you feel after you won the game?
Well, I think that if you compare, like, okay, objectively, yeah, that's a good achievement. But I was in an environment of which I was like, pretty good. Like, because I knew guys who were better than me. There was another guy that interned with me. He was also 20. And I knew, like, this guy's like just better than me. Like, he knows way more, cares way more about the markets. He's more technically competent. He was interviewing at firms that wouldn't even reach out to interview me. And he was also like my age. So it was, I guess objectively, yes, it's a good achievement, but I didn't feel like I'm so grand, you know, like I'm like the man, because I was in an environment of which, like, it was definitely not commonplace, but I knew people that were smarter, more competent than me. Even if I wasn't in that environment, I don't think I'm like the type of guy like, yeah, I'm like so good, like, yeah, like I'm really good, you know?
Yeah. I mean, okay, I want to ask you here, did you feel anything when you got the 600K offer versus the 300 to 400K offer? Did you really feel anything, or was it kind of just like, oh, like I got an A on this exam? Like, how did you feel when you got the return offer?
I think that if we hadn't listened to Naval 5 years ago, I would have been elated. I would have been like, I won life. Like, 600K at 20, like, I won life. But given that we were kind of drank the Kool-Aid of Naval, we're referencing his podcast, How to Get Rich Without Getting Lucky. I think both of us have listened to that probably 5 to 10 times. And his central thesis there is that you want to own equity in a business in which you apply specific knowledge at scale to create enormous value for people. And that's really how you create wealth, not by working a 9 to 5 for decades, which in quant, I think if I had done well, obviously I haven't really worked in the industry. I just interned, but I think realistically you can retire in somewhere between 10 to 20 years, but I don't know exactly where. But both Aman and I were Naval pilled and like business pilled since we were 17, 18. So my point is that our values didn't really align with like maximizing total comp at a job, you know? And because of that, it didn't really feel like a huge achievement. Like, yes, I'm so happy. It was like, oh, nice. You know?
Nice. Yeah, you basically just unlocked the next level. Like, yeah, it's like you beat a video game, or you basically got to the next level of the video game, or you checked off a certain quest. You're like, okay, great, I did that now. Yeah. And for me though, I mean, you consumed the Naval stuff at 17 or 18. I only got there probably 19.
We were on it like
I only discovered that stuff after my freshman year of college.
When COVID started, you were 18.
After my freshman year of college. Oh, I was 18. Yeah, I was 18. Wow, I didn't realize it was 18 when I discovered that. Yeah. So that was one part of it, but I didn't really associate working a job as a negative thing because YouTube was always a side thing to me. Like I think I had dreams of eventually starting a business, but I was doing these internships, going for these return offers, interviewing, and then cataloging the journey on my YouTube, not seeing like getting a job as a bad thing until I started a job that was like decent salary, especially for where I lived. And I realized that I didn't like it that much. Only then did I realize I was not that happy about it. But you seem to have gotten this from day one. So is that correct?
Yeah, I would say so. And during my internships, I still had that in the back of my mind. Like, dude, like, you're working for someone else. There are people in the world that don't and still make money. Why don't you become one of them? You know? Mm-hmm. I think both Aman and I really value, obviously, like financial success is one of our values, but freedom is the biggest thing to actually do what you want. And if you want to work on your business slash like whatever you do for work, you can. But we value that freedom, which is why in the back of my mind, I was just thinking like, oh, if I was going to work here, it would cost me like basically my entire weekdays for years. And I just wouldn't have that freedom. So,
and I think I would also emphasize that over the phone as well.
yeah,
I think we would talk about, oh, you got this great offer, which again, like on paper is anybody in our community, any of our family friends, any of our relatives would have been, this is the greatest thing anyone has ever done.
not the greatest thing anyone has ever done.
Anyone we know, like career-wise, what is better than getting a $600K offer out of college? Obviously, they're like Mark Zuckerberg. Fine, put him aside, okay? In your
Not
day-to-day
even
life,
there's a lot of people that create their own businesses and make a lot of money too.
but we don't know anybody. What entrepreneurs do we know who make a lot of money?
We don't know
personally?
anyone.
Sure. Again, I'm saying
From
that there's
our
obviously
community.
lots of people
From
out
our
there.
community.
But my argument is that for this Desi community, for this Indian Pakistani community of our family members, the aunts, uncles, cousins, our friends that we grew up with, all they wanted was for us to get a degree and get a good high paying job.
Yeah.
That's all anybody ever wants, right?
Yeah.
No one. I don't think I know maybe one or two guys from that I actually grew up with. Like maybe Torin. Torin's a guy that we know.
Yeah.
Guys like that, they actually are interested in startups and building something. But most people, the vast majority of people don't actually care about entrepreneurship. Maybe it's a pipe dream. Maybe it's in their mind, oh, one day I'll do this. But
Yeah.
if you talk to their parents, if you talk to their relatives, it's already hard enough to get a good paying job in general for a lot of people. So they don't really even think about starting a business. So for you, it's interesting that you kind of like already jumped there as soon as you got the offer. Because you kind of realized, oh, wait, I'm going to be sitting here chained to my desk 50, 60 hours a week. And that was also something I didn't even realize. I think, obviously, I never did quant. But when I saw you, I was kind of running the numbers in my mind. Okay, you get $600K a year. That's really good. You can... Because oddly, you're not a big spender in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
You don't even have a car. Like, my parents have tried to buy him a car multiple times. He's like, I don't want it.
I don't want it.
He doesn't want a car. I have a car. Our other brother has a car. Both my parents have cars. I think it's great, but he doesn't want it. My dad is like, Although, why don't we get you a car? He says, no, I don't want it.
I don't know what's the use for it. I don't want it.
Yeah. So you're not a big spender in any way, shape, or form. I don't think you've ever bought any kind of like, quote unquote nice things. Like you don't buy, luxury apartments at all. You don't buy watches. You don't go on expensive travel. You don't book 5-star hotels. You basically don't indulge in it at all. So for you, the number 600 was more about the status and the fact that you had won the quote unquote game more than it was about what that does, what those points actually represent. It was similar to like, let's say someone's number one in the world at RuneScape or something, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's great, but you can't convert. I mean, you could have converted that 600K into all his experiences, but he didn't want to anyway. So like, it didn't really matter to you as much, especially compared to the 300K offer or even a 200K offer. For your life, money, 200K, 300K, 400K, 500K is all the same because you don't care about what the incremental dollars can do, right?
Yeah, I was actually calculating my expenses. Like if I were to live in Chicago by myself, rent an apartment, full yearly expenses. I mean, Aman says I don't have like an expensive lifestyle. The two things I spend on are learning things and health. Those are the two things I spend on. So like I would get an expensive gym membership. That and like I would want a decently nice apartment. Those three things. The fourth thing is time. I'll spend money on saving time. Anyway, my total yearly expenses would be about 90 to 100K post-tax. If you make 600K in Chicago, you get 360K post-tax. So my expenses would literally be like 30%.
Yeah, 30%,
28, 29%.
and this is anything you would ever want. Like you're
29% of my total income.
You're not restricting
28.
yourself at all here either.
Of my post-tax income.
Yeah,
I would be saving 72% of my income.
exactly. And like, I think a lot of people are like, oh, this person saved 70%. That's great. Most of the time when people save 70% of their income, they're really cutting back.
Yeah.
Because they're part of the FIRE movement. They're like financial independence, retire early. They're stashing every dollar they have in the bank so that they can move on. But you would be living the most lavish lifestyle
This
you
is
would
me
have
like
wanted.
dropping 3-4K a month on apartment rent, like dropping $50-$60 on food a day so I don't have to cook. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But even if we dive into these things, right? You said you spend on health, learning, and time. If we look at each of these things, first of all, in the world of health, what are you spending on? You're spending on a personal trainer and a gym.
Gym.
But that's it. Like, what else are you spending on health? I guess like
Athletic Greens.
Athletic Greens. yeah. These supplements or whatever. But even then, if we kind of dive into there in more detail, like what food are you buying? You're just door dashing Chipotle.
Well, I don't DoorDash it. I get it in person.
Okay, you get Chipotle.
They give you
in
less
person.
if you DoorDash it.
Sure, yeah. They give you less if you DoorDash. You're getting Chipotle in person. Okay.
Newtonic.
Newtonic. Yeah. I think if you had that income, I think you probably would have gotten around to getting a private chef or like a guy to come to your place and make the food.
Yeah, just the time.
But even then, you're not spending more than 150K per year. And even like
it would not get up to 150, dude. It would cap around 100, maybe 110. Yeah. Maybe 110.
Also, like learning, you don't spend that much on learning anyway. Like, what do you spend on learning? Singing lessons. Okay, like skills, whatever, like here and there, kind of casually. Yeah. And then time, you get your apartment cleaned and your laundry done.
Yeah, apartment cleaned, laundry done.
And Ubering.
Food, Uber, time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And again, I think a lot of people have these dreams that they're like, oh, if I had that income, I do. Because certain people out there would. Like, there's certain people who love $200, $300 dinners.
Yeah.
Every week they'll go to a 5-star restaurant or like a, I don't know, what these Michelin star restaurant and spend $200-$300 on a meal. Or they'll go on a vacation, they'll go to Thailand for a month, or they'll go to like Bali, Thailand, they'll like fly to Jamaica for a week.
I feel like those are all cheap places.
Okay, fine.
To.
They'll go to
a resort in Cabo that costs $1,000 to $2,000 a night.
Yeah. They'll spend like $10K on a 1 week trip to Cabo.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people like that. You were not like that at all in any way, shape, or form. You're not even, our family, again, our parents are like decently well off. Just to be honest, our parents are doctors. Obviously, they're not billionaires or anything, but we're financially stable, especially because we live in Iowa, which is a very low cost of living area. Our parents want to take us on family vacations to different countries every couple of years, right? Because we have the resources to do that. Aldo says, no, I don't want to go. He doesn't want to go. So our parents want to buy him a car. Our parents want to go on vacation with him to like a decently nice place. And he says, no, I don't want to go.
I don't.
So it is that money, that 300-400K extra per year that he was getting by being a quant, doing this in very mentally challenging work, 50, 60 hours a week in a very competitive environment.
Yeah.
It's kind of only 10 to 20 hours of his work that week is actually being put to use. The rest is just extra that he doesn't want, nor does he need.
But the point is, if I were to take that career path, I would try to retire soon, like before I'm 35 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like eventually only spend 10% of my income, 15%, and then like just save until I can retire.
So I guess there's the multiple routes here. If you had done that career path, first of all, a lot of people think they're going to spend the money. You would not have spent it.
No.
So the logical next step would have been you would have saved. I mean, you would have spent what you wanted, which is like around 100K, and then saved the 60 to 70% remainder of your income. Ideally, by the time you're 30, have a couple million in the bank at least. Yeah. And then just live off the passive income of that 5% a year.
Well, I wouldn't live off the passive income of that. Then I would take a job that's much less.
Yeah, you would use that to basically cover your expenses.
I would use that to like, okay, that's invested in the market. That's going to grow to 8 figures, or it could be like around that range already by 35. I don't know these numbers. I haven't worked in the industry, right? And then just get a job that will still cover my expenses. And then like you're done. Like,
I mean, what job would you
can buy a house, you can do whatever you want. Like you have money to do whatever you want. Like,
but if you kind of look at this career path, right? By the time you're like 30 to 35, you leave quant. What job would you have gotten that you have wanted?
I mean, I also think it's really hard to project out 10 years down the line, given the rapid advancement in technology now. Like, dude, AI just might replace all us engineers by then.
Okay, sure. Fine. But like, let's say today, is there a job that you like? What is a job you like today? A job. J-O-B job. What is some job you like that you would do?
A lot of people rotate into tech. Like they'll become a data scientist or like an ML engineer or something.
You think if you could do something, it would be a data science. You'd be a data scientist or no?
Oh.
Yeah. So you wouldn't even be like, I don't understand. You're saying you'd get some job that you actually like, but what job?
Not that I would actually like. Something less intense.
Something less intense.
Yeah.
Okay. So like, what is some job that's less intense that you would do if you had to pick anything to do 9 to 5?
I'm saying like you could work in tech. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. But you would want to work in tech?
I don't know what I would do in that situation. It's kind of hard to like.
I feel like you don't even like jobs in general.
Obviously, I don't like jobs. Who likes jobs?
There's a lot of people who are like, oh, I like working 9 to 5 for a certain company. You know, some people like that.
I just think in the last 4 or 5 years, Aman and I have just become completely entrepreneurship pilled. They're like, we just refuse to work for someone else.
Yeah, like I don't really understand. Yeah, I don't think you could pick any job in the world. Like you'd have a palette of any job where someone is your boss. Is there anything you would pick off that list? Or no? Nothing except for running your own business.
It depends on the compensation. But if it's like,
let's say you did what you did, so you have a couple million in the bank, and now you can pick anything and it's going to pay $200K a year.
no, I wouldn't take anything.
You wouldn't take anything. There's no job you would pick. Does
No.
not matter what you're doing.
No.
It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah. Also, I
feel
feel
like-
like this kind of got sidetracked a little bit. Like,
no, it's good. So I think this is kind of like laying the groundwork for the title of this podcast, which is the fact that you ended up deciding to not take that $600K offer.
what's the title going to be? My 21-year-old brother turned down a $600K job.
Why my 21-year-old brother left a $600K job, something like that, or turned down a $600K offer, something like that. Anyway, I don't know what's going to be, but so the point here is that I think we've all been alluding to this point that you got that offer about a year and a half ago. You sat on it for a year and then you decided, hey, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to take this. The highest paying job offer I've ever known one of my close people in my life to get, the highest offer that any of my family members have known, any of my friends have known. Maybe you know people who got similar offers.
Yeah,
But
I mean, the people I worked with.
yeah, people you work with.
Yeah.
But you turned down one of the highest offers ever. Why?
Why?
Why? What was your thought process that went through turning down that offer? And maybe lay the groundwork here. I think you kind of like allude to what you're doing currently. You were dabbling with some entrepreneurship in your mind around the spring of this year. I think you had, for about 6 months there, you had kind of resigned yourself to working in quant. Like you were like,
Yeah.
I'm doing this.
So why? I think we covered it. Is that just in our souls, Aman and I we want to be entrepreneurs. I think Aman recently with his business, he's seeing a lot more success than I have yet. But that is like what we want to be and want to do. And even Aman and I had a conversation, I think almost a year, maybe 10, 11 months ago. He was like, dude, like, if you could run your own business and make like 200 or 300K and never even get to seven figures, but like not have to work for someone else, would you take that over quant? I was like, yeah, I'll take that over quant. So, why? I think we're just entrepreneurs in our souls now.
But I think there's
Obviously, I say
Yeah.
that without actually having done anything in terms of my own business, like succeeded. But Aman is doing quite well with his business. But that is both of our goals, is to be an entrepreneur. In terms of not like for like the word, entrepreneur, like the buzzword, but for the freedom and for creating our own thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's like a lot that goes into it, right? What is this word entrepreneur? What does that even mean? What is the allure
Yeah.
here? I think there is a danger of putting it on a pedestal. And a lot of people who are entrepreneurs will say, you think that you'll do this thing and you'll suddenly be magically free, but you actually end up working more,
Yeah.
which is a reality, right? It's not about, now that I'm an entrepreneur and I have been an entrepreneur for the past 10 years or 10
Also,
months,
I feel like that word's like a little bit of a meme. Like I'm an entrepreneur.
I'm an entrepreneur.
I'm
Yeah.
an entrepreneur.
Well, I've been
Like,
running my own business and not working a 9-to-5 job for the past 10 months.
Yeah.
Exclusively full time. And it is what it's cracked up to be, at least in the way that I really don't like having a boss. And that's why I did it, right? Because I hated the feeling of a guy next to me watching every move I'm doing. And feeling I have to suck up to this individual. I have to show up day in, day out, 9 to 5. I have 14 days I'm allowed to use in the year.
Yeah.
14 days of freedom. Then I have to budget them nicely. I have to work, I have to stress about taking remote days.
Yeah.
I have to sit there in front of the computer in the office. If I can leave at 5:01, but not 4:59. Think about that. What is that ridiculous life?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is why I think it's like the whole idea of I would rather suffer but control my own suffering than some other guy basically doing that to me,
Yeah.
you know? So that is why like I lean towards entrepreneurship. Now, there's a lot that goes into it, right? I think a lot of people think that it's all sunshine, daisies, rosy. It's not. It's stressful in its own way because you have uncertainty and you can truly never, quote unquote, turn your mind off, or you have to learn the skill to turning your mind off. Because there's a reason people don't like school often. Because they're like, oh, in college, I have these grades and I have these assignments and I have to work on the weekend and the holidays and I have to study. That's what entrepreneurship is. There's certain metrics you want to hit, certain people you need to satisfy. And whether you do it on a Thanksgiving or Christmas or New Year's or breaks or weekends, there's no boundaries around that.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas a lot of people, they like a 9-to-5 job because they're like, hey, I can just basically plug in like Severance, my mind into the system from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And then on the weekends, I can do whatever I really want. I can be free and like know that my finances are taken care of. So other than just the fact
Also,
that
usually it's not a 9 to 5. It's like a 8:30 to 6:30, 8:30 to 7 usually.
yeah, it's true.
I haven't really heard of a high paying career path in which it's truly 9 to 5. Like, I think usually it's probably minimum 10 hours a day.
It'll be 8 to 6 in total, at least.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, I don't think usually it goes beyond 8 to 6 if you're actually focused, right?
Like, at least at Jump, the team was doing 10, 11 hours a day, like 8:30 to 7, 8:30 to 7:30, sometimes 8:30 to 8. The team I was on. But
so kind of tell me here, what would a day in your life be if you had actually taken that quant job offer you got? Walk me through a day and a week in that life.
in summary, I would say like you're basically doing research through coding like different either research pipelines or analyzing different features, model architectures, etc. Probably 11 hours a day. You're just at your desk coding. Come around 8:30, leave around 7:30. That's your life. A lot of the teams take lunch, 20-30 minutes in between.
20-30 minutes they take lunch.
I honestly prefer to eat lunch at my desk because if I'm in the office, might as well work. Also, I just eat constantly anyway. So it's not like I can eat in 20 or 30 minutes. I eat throughout the day anyway. So that's literally a day in your life. And you do that 5 times a week.
So just to rephrase, you're on from 8 to 8:30 a.m. all the way till 7 or 7:30 p.m. And you have to like commute to the office too. So it's 30 minutes before 8:30. So you have to, the moment your brain is like, basically your life is controlled is from 7:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. every single weekday.
Maybe 7:30 to 7:30, something like that. Yeah.
That's about 12 hours a day that your brain is that your life is being sold to this company and that you get the salary back. And
in fact, how every job works though.
No, I want to make this visceral because a lot of people listening to this are going to be students who want this, right? Think about it this way, right? Almost every waking moment you're giving to the company on the weekdays, at least 5 out of 7 days, your best hours go to them and your worst hours go to you, right? Most people's brain works best somewhere between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. or something, right?
Sure.
The peak hours are getting sold to them, and you in exchange you get 2 hours in the evening.
You get the money in exchange.
Sure, you get the money, but in terms of time, you have 2 hours in the evening to spend all that money as a quant.
And the weekends.
Sure. And you get the weekends, which are 2 days. So
you also get 4 weeks of vacation or something.
Fine. Okay. But if we kind of like sum it out, let's say if you include weekends, whatever, it's 9-10 months of your life you sell to get like 2-3 months back. Right? That's the calculation.
Depends how you frame it. Like, are you necessarily selling it if you like doing that
but
work?
I'm going to get to that point. Anyway, like let's say that it's regardless of whether you like it or not, let's say you're asleep during that time. Okay. Like your brain gets shut off.
Yeah.
And you power back on after 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and on the weekends, whatever. You are giving up about 70 to 80% of your time to someone else. In exchange, you're getting 20 to 30% of the time back. In that time, you have money that you can play around with.
Again,
right?
If you enjoy.
No, but like let's say, but before you get there, okay?
Yeah.
Now, obviously your existence is very different based on what does that 70, 80% of your life actually look like, right? So, but for up until now, I'm just saying like, let's say it's nothing. Like it's not good, it's not bad, it's just nothing, okay? That seems like a bad deal to me. Especially if you're at the point where you're a quant, where you're earning $600K a year. Like that $400K extra per year, how are you going to spend that in the 20% that you get extra per year? Unless you do like high dopamine activities, like, I don't know, going on like a skydiving tour of Mexico or something, or chartering a private jet to like fly you to 18 different countries within a 2-week period. Like you have to do ridiculous things to spend that money, right? A 100 to 200K job is more than enough to cover everything you need, basically, within that, like just survive. I'm talking like food or rent, like have enough money for insurance, medical insurance, take care of your family, stuff like that.
Yeah, but there's a concept of savings though.
Okay, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm sure savings are important. But like I'm saying here that a lot of people see that as a norm, but if you kind of like actually objectively analyze what a 9 to 5 looks like, you are giving up your peak hours of your brain for someone else so they can make money off of that.
Yeah. You get money out of it though. It's a trade.
Sure, it's a trade. I get it. But you're kind of like in this building and you can't leave. You're not allowed to leave. Otherwise you will be punished.
Yeah.
You will be punished financially if you walk out of that room. So I get it. Obviously, it's a trade. People are not slaves here. Okay, they're actually earning something. They're being paid. They're choosing to quote unquote sell their time.
Yeah.
Take that bondage of being there 9 to 5 and doing that job. But let's not make a mistake here. You don't have freedom if you make that choice. You give up that actual freedom to sit there in that room 9 to 5, and you can't leave. Otherwise, you'll be punished. So I want people to know that doesn't have to be the case. You know, I mean, like for you specifically, there's a reason you chose to give up that offer, because that reality was not what you wanted, because there was no way you could have spent that money, right? And there's an alternative path, which is entrepreneurship, starting your own business, where sure, you're at the beck and call of someone, which is your clients, but at least in that case, you can control who you take on.
Yeah.
You get to control where you want to sit. You get to control what hours you work. You can choose to give up money and not get fired. When it's a 9 to 5 job, you have no choice. It's an all or nothing package. You take the job and everything the job has to offer, or you take none of it. Right? It's not like you can say, oh, Jump, can I actually only work 3 days a week and only get $200K per year?
Yeah.
You can't. You have no control. Whereas when you're an entrepreneur, you get to pick what is the package. What is the offer you get, really?
Yeah.
Right? That's what you get when you're an entrepreneur. So I can decide, hey, do I only want to work on Mondays and Tuesdays and only get like 30K a year or something? Maybe I'm happy with 20 to 50K a year, but only working 1 or 2 days a week. And I'll go live in Bali and be fine with that. But I at least get to pick. Or if I'm like, hey, I want to conquer the world, I want to work 7 days a week, then I have that choice as well. But when you're at a job, sure, you can maybe like shop around for different jobs, but it's not like that. Yeah. And emotionally, it doesn't feel like that. You feel like you're basically controlled by someone. And I guess for me, I hate the feeling of being controlled by someone else.
Yeah.
It's probably the worst feeling I can ever imagine. So
that's the worst feeling you could ever imagine.
Fine. Obviously, it's not the worst feeling I could ever imagine, but it's one of the worst feelings.
This is kind of like one time you said, I don't know, guys, like, I really think salmonella is my worst fear in the world. One time you said that.
Okay, obviously it is not the worst feeling you can ever imagine.
One thing you said is salmonella. That's what you said.
What I'm trying to explain here is that we're trying to flesh out what a 9 to 5 job actually looks like. And for a lot of people, I guess like before we get into that, this is why you chose to not go to Jump. Could you kind of like close the loop there?
Yeah.
Why did you make that decision?
When you're kind of bringing up this conversation, at least to me, it doesn't sound that crazy. But when you kind of put it into words, it's like most people are like, dude, like, that's stupid. Like, that's crazy to say no to that. Right? So yeah, that's what it is. It's just that Aman and I, we just don't want to be controlled in life. Like, we want to forge our own path.
Yeah.
It's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The final one is self-actualization.
Yeah, that's what we're both going for right now.
Yeah.
But I think there's another aspect to it, which is if we didn't believe there was another path, we would not have quit, right?
Yeah.
There's a reason. The only reason you felt like you could leave that 600K offer is because you knew in your heart that there was a chance that you could make it on your own.
Yeah.
If someone had told you, if like, I don't know, God came out and said, dude, whatever business you make, it's going to fail, guaranteed, you would not leave.
Honestly, I would make that business know it's going to fail. And if God didn't tell me the next one is going to fail, I would just wait until the next one.
Sure. But let's say God told you, dude, no matter what business you start, it's going to fail, guaranteed. Like you would not do it.
Okay, yeah, obviously. I wouldn't go into like something knowing 100% chance I'm going to fail for the rest of my life.
Yeah. So the reason we did it is because we wanted a different path, which is to become an entrepreneur. We knew that obviously there's not a 100% chance certainty that it's going to work out.
Yeah.
But the risk is worth it. The juice is worth the squeeze, as they say.
I also think people underestimate the risk of having a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
You can show up to the 9 to 5. You may hate it. That's a risk. Which, I mean, we kind of realize we don't like it, but it could be even worse. Your boss might be extremely mean to you.
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it?
You're just going to suffer for 70% of your life is just going to be suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You may not like the work you're doing. You like thought it would be fun. It didn't turn out to be fun. You may underperform. Maybe you get fired. Like there are a lot of risks.
Yeah.
For a 9 to 5.
Yeah. I think there's a perception that 9 to 5 is safe, smart. Business is risky.
Maybe
unsafe.
the business itself underperforms. Maybe the leadership makes bad decisions. That affects you.
Yeah. I know people
Yeah.
who have been, many people have been laid off. So it's nothing to do with their performance. The business decisions, like, we don't need this part of the business. 100,000 be just gone, go.
Yeah.
And you have no control then. Like, you're kind of done at that point. So I think people, there's a general perception out there that 9 to 5 equals safe, secure, happiness, and business is, there's this quote out there which is like 99% of businesses fail. That's what people say. You're like, oh, we should start a business. No, 99% of businesses fail. I think that is, I think there's a whole host of things that are wrong with that. Obviously, I can't tell you the specific statistics here about do 99% of businesses actually fail. Maybe they do, but also, like, what are they classifying as a business here? Are you classifying a business as a restaurant or a food cart? What are you classifying as failing here? Like, let's say I start 10 businesses in a row and the 8th one succeeds and pays for all the rest. Is that 9 out of 10 failures? Do I only have a 10% success rate? Or do I have a 100% success rate because it paid for all the rest? So I think there's like a mistake here. I guess, like, bringing it all the way back, 9 to 5 jobs, while I do think that they are useful for many people, and I'm glad I did it, they are not this dream-like safe existence that as soon as you get some 9 to 5 job, everything's taken care of. And in fact, when you work on a business, of course it's risky. Of course, you may not earn any money from it, and you may, quote unquote, waste a year. But that doesn't mean that it's not worth trying and not worth going with.
Yep.
Real quick, guys, if you want to stay up to date with me and get weekly productivity advice, subscribe to Thoughtful Thursday, my very own email newsletter. That's where I share in real time all the techniques, lessons, and frameworks that I picked up that week. The newsletter subscribers always hear it first. You can subscribe at amanmanazir.com/newsletter. So kind of going all the way back, you left your quant job, and what was the reason? What are you planning on doing other than that quant job now? And you don't have to go into exact detail about the business in general, but kind of talk about your life setup now.
Yeah. So I would say we covered it in that I want freedom. I want to forge my own path. I want to do my own thing. I would say that in short. And if that means giving up status and money in the short term, then I'm happy to do that. Yeah. And then, so that was why. And then you asked, what else? What am I doing now?
Yeah. I mean, I guess before we get into there, you mentioned how I'm giving up status and money. I think another big reason why people are not willing to actually try entrepreneurship and leave their job is because of status.
Dude, status it's a big one.
It's a big reason
one.
why. It could be
Dude,
the primary
like,
reason why.
Like, I went from having that job to, like, I'm literally living at home with my parents now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You went from a $600K offer to living in your mom's basement.
Literally, like, my desk is in the basement.
Yeah, we're in our mom's basement right now. Yeah, recording this episode.
Yeah.
You gave up everything. You would have been in like a Chicago penthouse or something. Maybe not.
Honestly, the rent is pretty cheap in Chicago. Probably can get a penthouse for $4K, $5K a month. I might have gotten one, honestly.
You might have gotten a Chicago penthouse, and you decided to pick your mom's basement instead.
Yeah, and we're home for Thanksgiving right now. We went to a bunch of parties with our Indian community here. Every time someone asks me, "Oh, where are you? Where are you now? Where are you these days?" Like, "Oh, I actually live here now." Every time, like, I just like my soul just like gets like a little more. I feel more pain in my soul every time I say that. When an auntie asks me, "Where are you these days?" Like, I heard you were in California for a little bit. Where I'm like, I'm actually gonna be here. Like, I live here now.
I live in our hometown now.
Like,
oh, interesting. Oh, okay.
yeah.
It's because both of us, again, we both left an easy to explain 9 to 5 good paying job, right?
Yeah.
And now both of us are like, people don't really understand what we do at all.
Yeah.
Most people think, I was talking to Aadil about this the other day. One of our friends, like, people were asking me kind of vaguely what I do now. And I honestly think there was a perception in our community that we're both starving artists.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think maybe less for you because people see my YouTube channel and see that as like an art form. They don't realize that it's just a cold, hard business. They think it's like an art form.
It's a cold, hard business.
Yeah. They're like, oh, like Aman is exploring his passion, and to an extent, sure, I like YouTube videos. If I won the lottery, I would still make YouTube videos. I think they'd be about different topics, but I would still make YouTube videos even if I won the lottery. So sure, there is some kind of art form there, but they think it's 100% art form that he's following his passion. And he's just, he's purposefully not making money so he can be a starving artist and follow his dream, right? People ask me questions like, Aman, are you fulfilled with your new career path nowadays? Like, as if I'm like unable to put food on the table. You know what I mean? So you are literally giving up. And the thing is that you're in this kind of like limbo area where you can't really, because I have made, obviously, I'm not public about the numbers I've done so far, but I have made more in the business that I've made in my 9 to 5 job by a good
Aman
amount.
has made more profit in 6 months in his business, the first 6 months of profitability, than he would have made in a full year of working his job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I made more in the first 6 months of hitting profitability than I would have in an entire calendar year of working as a software engineer.
And it's growing too.
And it's growing. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like going up month by month by month as like the more effort and resource I pour into it. But they don't know that. So they see me as like a starving artist. Oh, where are you nowadays? Oh, that's cool. That's nice. Yeah, long story short, you give up a lot of status by doing your own thing.
Yeah.
And
like I gave up the job, like the premier job for computer science / math students. Quant researcher. Like, big salary, big name brand company, etc. Right? To live in my mom's basement in Iowa in the winter.
it's snowing outside. The weather is terrible. There's nothing to do around here.
Yeah, I don't know anyone here. All my friends are gone.
Yeah. Dude, all of our friends are gone. You're living in your mom's basement on your laptop. Yeah. You gave that job up to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think a lot of it is obviously there's the security element of things. I think another reason why both of us could do this is because we feel like our parents will support us if necessary. So obviously, if you can't put food on the table, don't leave your 9 to 5 job. If you have kids, don't leave your 9 to 5 job.
I think that's an important preface is that I felt comfortable doing that, knowing that my mom would allow me to live in her basement.
Exactly. Like you had a place to go.
Yeah.
And also, I think I had also quit my job before you made this decision, right?
Yeah.
So you saw that it was fine. Like it's fine if he's not earning any money and he's being supported by parents. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I also think a lot of people in this community or the audience of this video do have the option to live in their mom's basement if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think fundamentally you have to understand the risk of not following your dream and not doing what you want, which is, I know, we also talked earlier, like a lot of people, I guess their dream is that if during that 9 to 5 job, they're having the time of their life, then it's a completely different story. Then they're spending all of their time intentionally. And in that case, it's like, fine, don't make your business if you're enjoying that. But we did not like that feeling. Because I did not like the feeling of being trapped. I did not like the feeling of having to take PTO. I did not like stressing about flying to visit my girlfriend. Like that was stressful every time I would go do it because I was like, oh, my boss is going to be mad at me by using my remote days, stuff like that. So I did not like that feeling. So fundamentally, that is the calculus of why I did it. And it's probably similar for you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of tell me now, what are you doing now? So when did you make that final decision to actually leave that offer? What time this year?
Yeah, I can kind of summarize what my life looked like over, like from getting that offer until now. So I got that offer in mid-August of 23, and I had only 1 semester of college left. I could have done 2, but I just decided to graduate early. And this is when, around the time where if you're kind of cued into tech, a lot of the AI doomer tech narrative started being pushed, like, yeah, guys, like in a couple of years, like engineers are gone. Like AI is taking everything over. So I really believed all of that, which I guess it remains to be seen. It hasn't been that long since then. But that caused a deep depression in me. It caused a deep depression. I was sitting at Berkeley. I had finished my EECS degree. And as I said, I was double majoring in engineering, math, and statistics. And I had to take 4 more classes to finish my degree. And I took compilers, computer security. I took a quantum mechanics physics class. And I took, well, this is what really got me. I took linear algebra for the 6th time. Because Berkeley's like bureaucracy, and basically all these colleges, bureaucracy, they won't give you credit unless you take the actual class for the degree. By then, I had taken linear algebra in high school. Okay, they didn't give me credit for it because it was through something called Johns Hopkins CTY. It wasn't like a real college class. Okay, fine, they didn't give me credit. Then I took Berkeley has a course sequence called EEC16A, 16B, in which they cover a lot of electrical engineering stuff, but also linear algebra. Took those 2. Then I took 3 different classes in CS that go over all the linear algebra stuff, like again, because they're prereqs for the class. Then I took the more advanced abstract linear algebra math class at Berkeley called Math 110. and they still didn't give me credit for the linear algebra class. I literally took it 6 times. And I was sitting there like in my apartment, okay, writing out the linear algebra homework, manually showing like, yes, I know how to multiply matrices, okay? Like, dude, like I'm literally just wasting my time here. AI's gonna take my job. I'm here writing on my iPad for 2-3 hours. This homework that I've literally learned this 6 times. The school will not give me credit for this.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm just wasting my life here. Like, I'm here for 4 months for this semester. I don't care about the things I'm learning anymore. I already have my job. If I want to learn it, I'll learn it by myself. And instead, I'm just burning my time trying to prove something that I've already proven to know to get a degree.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy. Wait, what this was in the fall of 2020?
Fall of 23.
23. That was when, because you did a electrical engineering, computer science, math, and statistics.
Yeah.
And was this a time where you were trying to tell our parents that you wanted to drop the math major?
Yeah. So I was like, dude, like, degrees don't even matter. Like, I firmly believe what you know and your skill set and your actual ability matters in life. I was telling my parents, like, I'm leaving. Like, I'm taking EECS. I'm leaving. I'm not even finishing this math degree. Like, forget it. I cannot sit through one more day of this.
Yeah. That's like Sisyphus. He's like walking up the cliff. He's like pushing the boulder and then he just goes back down.
Yeah.
That's doing linear algebra for the 6th time, multiplying matrices in your room on your iPad for the 3rd hour.
Dude, and the homework assignments were so long. Like, you have to, oh, yes, I know what a basis is. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah. So wait, I don't know what actually happened. Did you finish the math degree or no?
My parents convinced me to finish it.
So you did end up finishing it?
Yeah, I ended up finishing it. But 2 weeks in, there was 14 weeks left in the semester, or 12, 13 weeks left in the semester. I called my parents and I told them, honestly, like, these 4 months matter. Like, I believe AI is coming in the next couple of years. 4 months means a lot. Okay, if it's really coming, I need to try to make something now. Instead of wasting 4 months just to get this degree. Just to have this name, oh, I have this degree.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my argument. Like, 4 months matters if AI is coming. 4 months really makes a difference. So forget this degree. I'm going to drop out. I'm going to try to do something. Well, not drop out, but I'm going to take my EECS degree and then forget the math degree and just try to work on my business now or try to make something now.
Mm-hmm.
And then my parents like, no, you're not.
They're like, no, you're not. You're
I mean,
finishing the math degree.
I was an adult by then. I was 20. Like, I could have made the decision myself, but they were also paying my tuition. They paid for my tuition since then. So I felt like it was a wrong thing to do to like make them pay my tuition for 6 semesters. And be like, actually, for the 7th semester, I just can't stand it anymore. I'll take 1 degree instead of 2 and leave.
Yeah. But okay, here's the thing. 1 degree is fine. You know, like,
That's my point.
you also had already gotten the job offer and signed it too. Yeah. Dude, what is the point of like the arbitrary math and statistics degree that you were 1 class away anyway?
Yeah.
You already knew all the information.
Yeah.
So what's the problem?
And a lot of people who study EECS know a lot of math. They're very good at math. They know a lot of that stuff. It's very relevant to the field. A lot of people, like, they know that stuff, just they don't have the math degree. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you just did it anyway.
I just listened to my parents.
Yeah. Wait, so the only difference was that you just had to finish that linear algebra class that you didn't want to finish. You just want to drop the linear algebra class?
No, like, I had to do those basically to double major in 2 College of Engineering majors in Berkeley. You can't overlap the classes. So for EECS, you have to do 5 elective upper division computer science classes. And for engineering, math, and statistics, you have to do 4 or 5 elective engineering classes. So I couldn't overlap. So I had to do 9 or 10 elective engineering classes instead of 5. So those extra 2 computer science classes were those electives. And then also I had to take quantum mechanics too to do my math degree. But it was not just the 1 class. I had to do all of those 4.
Yeah, but you just did them anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you graduated early though. You graduated in the fall of 2023.
Yeah, I was like, I'm just so done here. Like,
yeah.
I'm not going to sit down and try to prove what I know again. Just to like get to
Wait,
grade.
what would the
Like,
advantage have been to do another semester? There's no advantage, just more classes because you already graduated with both degrees.
yeah, I could learn those things myself anyway. There's no advantage
Yeah.
in doing another semester.
So you chose to
Right.
basically graduate early and not do some like extra electives that you could have done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what did you do during that time anyway?
Yeah. So I guess the point of this was me to tell like what happened since I got the offer.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I come back to school. I'm like reasonably like upset / mildly depressed, I would say.
Yeah.
that I think AI is coming. I'm burning 4 months here, and I'm just doing this to get a stupid degree. It doesn't matter. I already know all this stuff, and this is just wasting my time. So I don't really remember those 4 months. It was kind of a blur. I don't really remember anything specific happening.
Was that
then.
like January through May?
No, this is like when I'm finishing my
Oh,
degree.
your fall,
August
basically.
or December.
I think you were just in a haze of doing your classes
Yeah,
and
just-
just kind of being depressed.
Yeah, I mean, I would still go to the gym, do my singing, music, whatever. But kind of in a haze. Then.
I think our parents called me and said, Aman, convince Aadil to finish his math degree. That's what they do. They're like, Aman, call Aadil and tell him to finish his math degree.
yeah,
They didn't provide any context at all, but
yeah.
you finished anyway. You graduated.
So I finished, and I think the mind, at least my mind, like once a goal is achieved, it will like focus itself on another goal that needs to happen. So then I was like, okay, I've gotten the job. Forget the degree, like that's done. I don't have a girlfriend now. So then that's the goal that needs to happen. Like I need to figure out my romantic / relationship life. So that was kind of percolating in my mind around that time. And after I graduated, I just went back to Berkeley just to get a girlfriend.
Which seems really random.
Yeah.
But that was like, I don't know if we talked about that in the first episode. We might have actually cut that part out. But basically, you had never had a girlfriend. You never dated anybody in your entire life because in your mind, I feel like, yeah, you kind of hyper focus on one individual goal at a time.
Yeah.
So it'll be your first goal was getting into college or whatever in high school. Then your second goal was doing well in college and getting a good internship and full-time job offer. Then after that, you were kind of depressed for a few months because you didn't really know what your goal was. Then you graduated, and now the next goal is like, what is like next in life after getting a great job offer, after getting a good college degree, is to find like a romantic partner.
Yeah. Like in the progression of life, it's like figure your career out, then figure out your relationship stuff / like your long-term relationship,
Yeah.
romantic life.
Mm-hmm. It's actually interesting. I feel like a lot of people have those like higher. I think certain people like us have those hierarchy of needs to take off. For me, relationships was like the foundation of everything. To me, like romantic relationships are more important to figure out than like career and health and anything.
I mean, okay, it's not more important than health, but
I wasn't like that concerned about health originally.
okay, but yeah, I mean, I also believe my relationships are the most important thing in life.
Yeah.
But in terms of the progression of figuring them out, this was not a conscious process. It just happened to be what I acted upon, what I worked towards. Once the career was done, I was in that depression because I thought, number one, I'm wasting my time. And number two, I'm not even working towards the next step in my life.
Which is getting a partner.
Yeah.
If you actually look at Ali Abdaal, I think he also did a similar progression. Like first he figured out his like med school, then he was a doctor or whatever. Then he figured out business, then he was making a lot of good income. Then he got a wife, so he got married, and now he's worried about his health. Like his longevity and health is his number one thing. It's interesting how like certain people, it's like a pyramid. They kind of work on each step one at a time.
Yeah.
But anyway, you basically went for a partner second semester last year.
Yeah. So I graduated. I showed up back up to Berkeley, like, okay, this is my goal. Like, I need to figure out my love life.
Yeah.
And worked out well. I met my girlfriend in April and I'm still dating her. It's going really well. So I guess mid-January through early April, that was my focus. And then
Yeah. You weren't really doing anything else during that time either.
other than going to the gym and doing my music, that was my singular focus in life.
Yeah. But I guess wasn't the whole point like you need to figure this out before AI? So like you just like forgot about that during that time.
Yeah.
So like you had all this stuff about
there was something that was relevant enough in my mind to like keep that voice down, like to work.
you basically
towards.
found the next thing, which is like in your mind you convince yourself, I don't need to worry about anything until I get a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Okay. And then so you got a girlfriend in April of 2024.
Yeah.
And then what happened next?
And so then started dating her in April. And then almost immediately my mind like shifted. My focus shifted. And then it came back to the self-actualization, working for yourself, trying to make something yourself, trying to create something. And I started working with one of my friends on a startup idea in late April, May, and have been working on that for since then. So for around 6-7 months by now. Yeah,
Yeah,
What
you
was he
basically
doing?
started working on a company.
Yeah.
And you're not going to go into detail because it's kind of like you don't want to talk about it right now.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
you're-
we haven't really done anything yet. Like,
Yeah.
there's no product out.
You're working on
Right.
multiple projects in the high level crypto space.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that started as soon as you basically got into this relationship. So I actually remember there was a moment where you like decided to leave your job like a few weeks after you started dating your girlfriend or something like that, right?
Yeah.
What was that moment?
The moment was, again, we believe in freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, number one, for all the reasons we've discussed, we don't want to work for someone else. My job was in Chicago. My girlfriend is finishing college in about a year from now. I was like, okay, so I'm going to move to Chicago to work a job that I don't, yes, the work is very interesting. Like, I don't want to shit on Quant here. Okay, it's a really interesting job. According to Max Dama, like the guy who wrote the famous PDF about Quant, he's like, it is the best job out of college, the best job ever. It is like the number one job to work on. Yeah. And like, it's very interesting. It's very meritocratic. Like, the culture is great, like all these things. But from my perspective, it's like, I'm going to move to Chicago. I'm going to leave my girlfriend there, go into this long distance relationship to work a job that I'm interested in. The work is interesting, but I don't have the agency that I want and desire. I don't have the expensive lifestyle, so I'm going to save 70% of my income. I was like, do I really want to do that? Thought about it. I was like, no, I'm done. I'm not going to go.
Yeah. The short answer is no, I'm done.
Yeah.
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 Were you ever worried about giving something up? I think another aspect to this is what are you giving up truly? You're giving up. I think people think, oh, if I leave 9 to 5, I'm never going to be able to go
You're
back.
giving up the status and the short-term status and money.
Short-term status and money for just the next few years, potentially.
Yeah.
The money that you weren't going to really use anyway. So that you can work on something that you would actually enjoy doing, that you have control and freedom over, and you can like control your entire life design. Like, you would rather choose to be in your mom's basement than forced to be in Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, honestly, the same. I would rather elect to be in my mom's basement than be forced to be working a 9 to 5 job, even if there's way more status and money in the other one.
All about agency at the end of the day.
Dude, I feel like humans, it's agency, dude.
Yeah.
Life design agency.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you
Yeah.
made this decision to quit your quant job, and immediately your gaze shifted towards entrepreneurship and working on a few projects. I think there was a period of searching. There was like where we had recorded our podcast in March of 2024. So you were using that as well because that did really well in the algorithm. There were like a few guys who were reaching out to you discussing projects and startup in that regard as well. And then you decided to settle on a few projects in the crypto area, which you're not going to go into extreme detail about over the past 6 months. So you're currently working on a project in that area, which is like your own project with a friend of yours currently.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what does your life design look like? Like, how did your life change in the past 6 months after you made that decision?
How did my life change?
Yeah. What does your
I
life
think-
look like now?
The last 7-8 months have been a lot of travel, partially for the startup stuff, but also to obviously visit my girlfriend. I think I was calculating in the last 6 months, I've gone on 18 one-way like flights in terms of like location A to location B, not even counting connections. So like on average, every 10 days I'm on a plane, like going somewhere else. So a lot of travel. I got used to traveling now. I used to hate it, but now I'm used to it. But other than that, just building, being an engineer, it's not that different. I wouldn't say my life is extremely different than normal. It's just like,
Well, the reason why it's not different is because you never started full-time at Jump.
yeah,
Like, your life, you're comparing it to when you had the Jump offer but you were a student, or when you had the Jump offer and you were focusing on dating. Your lifestyle, like it would be, if you compare it to what your life when you were an intern is like, that's a really big difference.
well, yeah, obviously,
Yeah.
huge difference.
So yeah, right now it's not that much different compared to what it used to be maybe 6 months ago when you had the offer, but that was because you never started. But another thing I want to focus on here is the fact that I feel like you can only really focus on 3 or 4 things at once. You can't really progress at more than 3 or 4 things at once. You kind of just like let them go.
I think it's the rule of 3, as they say. In general, I feel like for me, a lot of people, it's like 3 things you can pick. to get better at, and everything else in general needs to take
Either goes on maintenance or goes down.
or goes down.
Yeah.
So
I feel like I'm better at doing more, but I do like less for each. But yeah, go
you
ahead.
make less progress in each then.
Yeah.
So for me in college, it was lifting, music, and career stuff. That was the 3. And then once I got my girlfriend, that was a big time commitment. So the music stuff fell off.
Or before you got your girlfriend, but you were dating, it was music, lifting, getting a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the career thing was taken care of. So it was those 3.
Yeah.
Then after you got a girlfriend, it was having a girlfriend, lifting, and finding an entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Or like working on entrepreneurship.
And even the lifting was like, I fell
It was
off
just
a
maintenance.
lot. Not even maintenance. I went down.
Yeah. And I think right now, like lifting and singing are also kind of down. And it's just girlfriend and entrepreneurship
Yeah.
and mom's basement. Yeah. Wait, so tell me, why do you feel like before you could handle 3, but now you can only handle 2? Because those 2 are just way bigger than the other 3. The 3 were.
I think those 2 are quite big ones, like in terms of time.
There's like
commitment.
huge 2 big pillars.
Yeah.
I think it's also because to see your girlfriend, you're flying around a lot.
Yeah.
And you guys don't live in the same town. If your girlfriend was here, like in the same town, and it was just kind of stable, like she's doing her own thing, you're doing your own thing, then I think you could have the mental space to take up a third thing. But the fact that every time you see her, now it's like a special event because you're never there usually.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of eating up a lot of those other things. You don't have the mental focus to focus on it. And also, you mentioned earlier, a few days ago, how when you fall off on something, it becomes, with every day that you're falling off, it becomes harder to get back on that horse. It's like, imagine you're like riding a horse, right? On some goal. Well, as soon as you fall off the horse, you fall off into quicksand, okay? And you're slowly sinking into that quicksand. And at any given moment, you could like kind of climb out of that quicksand and get back on the horse. But with every day you choose to not get back on that horse, you go slowly down in quicksand, and it gets harder and harder and harder and harder to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because just mentally, when I go back to the gym, when I look in the mirror, I'm like, dude, I'm so small now.
Really?
Go to the gym, like my lifts are all down. I'm like, dude, like what happened to me? Like you just don't want to accept like that you're in the
You're kind of
you're in the ditch.
That's
now.
another part of it, because like when you go to the gym, you just feel sad
You're
about
in the
how bad
quicksand,
you
and you just
yeah.
like refuse to look down, because to get out, you first have to look down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because it's hard now. Like I guess back in the day, you go to the gym and you're kind of excited about it. You're like, oh, I'm gonna try a new PR. I'm PRing. Like I'm really excited.
Yeah.
I'm progressing. But now all you feel when you go to the gym is, man, I remember how good I used to be. Now I'm not that good. And if I just don't go to the gym, I don't think about how bad I am now. Yeah. So it's like you avoid going to the gym because you know you're just gonna feel bad about yourself when you're there, because you used to be a lot better.
Because I before I kind of fell off in the gym. Fell off meaning that like I probably went on average 1.5 times a week in the last 6 to 7 months. I was 195 pounds, about 16% body fat. Now I would say I'm like 185, about 17%.
You lost 10 pounds of muscle?
Dude, like, I think so.
Dude, you lost 10 pounds of muscle?
Yeah. I wasn't
What the
eating
heck?
much at all.
Also, what if your lifts change? Because we haven't talked about this. Like, what do you bench now when you go to the gym? I don't know what you bench.
I don't want to talk about it.
No, tell me. What do you bench? Like, you used to bench, I think your max was like 245 for one or something, right?
Yeah, that was before I tore my pec.
Yeah.
That was not when I was the heaviest, though. Even 195 isn't big enough for me. I want to be 205, 210.
Weight-wise, not on the bench. Yeah.
Yeah. But then I was doing like maybe 185 for 10s, something like that.
185 for 10s.
9s or 10s, 3 sets of 9s.
That's a lot.
10.
Yeah.
And now like maybe 165 for 9s, 165 for 10s.
That's good.
Yeah. Maybe not 10s for 185, maybe 9s.
So do you do 10s or 9s at the gym currently or no?
At 165, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I only do...
I think 3x9 at 185.
You're probably still bigger than me, because I only do like 175 for 4 or 5 currently.
Okay.
I could probably do 155 for 10.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but that's like a significant decline, I guess, compared to where it used to be. What about, you don't squat or deadlift or anything either? You just kind of like show up and do some stuff and leave?
I just do lunges now because I injured my back.
Yeah. What about singing? How has singing changed in the past 6 months?
Yeah, I completely stopped practicing. It's like this quicksand thing that, especially with singing, because you can hear how bad you sound and you remember how you
Also,
sound.
when you sing, and you stop, it's like hard. You like sound really bad when you start again.
Yeah.
And you just feel bad about it. So you don't do it.
And it's also like, it's like music. It's like singing, right? It's like, it's a very like, if you sound bad, you like don't want anyone to hear that you sound really bad.
It's like when you're lifting, sure, maybe people are like, oh, I don't want someone to see that I'm only doing 165. But in most regard, no one's really looking at you.
Like,
but when you're singing and you're sounding bad, it actually hurts other people around you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because you used to be singing all the time, and now you don't at all. I don't hear you
I
ever.
used to practice 10 hours a week, every week for 3 years straight.
Yeah. And now I don't hear anything. Not a single peep. Nothing.
Yeah.
But why don't you just make the choice to get back on it? I feel like there's another thing which is kind of like you're still choosing to not go into it. You're still making that choice. It's fine. Like, what is that calculation in your mind? Why are you not back on singing and lifting?
I just haven't had the courage to look down in the quicksand and acknowledge it.
But with each day you don't do that, you're just gonna get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse until till your head's under, then you never go back.
Yeah.
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 I think there must be some denial too, which is like, oh, I can start next month. I can start in a few weeks when this is done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for singing, if you just start doing lessons, you'll immediately get back.
That's true.
Yeah. It'll sound bad for your teacher. But another thing is there's so much friction in starting lessons.
It was very hard to consistently practice singing when I was traveling so much. Like, it's very hard to do that if you're constantly traveling, flying here, there, you know.
So, what's your next 6 to 12 months look like? What are your plans for the next year in terms of life design and goals?
I'm fully focused on working on this project / product. Very hard to say what's going to happen with it, but that's my goal, is to try to make it a success. That's it.
Or actually, another question here is, under what situation would you go back to quant?
Under what situation?
So describe like a series of events that would lead you back to quant.
I think the series of events is that I keep trying to make something like my own business, and it just keeps failing over and over and over again. And I think after 3 to 5 years, I might be like, okay, I gave it a try. It's time to time to make some money now.
I think you would probably basically lean back into that. So for me, especially, like I wouldn't want to go back to a 9-to-5 job with my head down, like, oh, I failed, I'm bad. I would see it as a new challenge. It'd be like, okay, I'm going to try to get the best job I can possibly get now. Or for you, it'd be like, I'm going to get the best quant job and try to become one of the best quant traders I can possibly be. Like, we would never just give up kind of with our tail between our legs, walking home as if we're a failure. We would kind of lean to it, but that was an experiment for 3 to 5 years. I learned a lot. I built a lot of connections, a lot of relationships. Now I'm going to go back and try to get the best job I possibly can and be the best employee I possibly can. Yeah. Anyway,
I like to think that I would never give up though, but I think at some point, like, there's probably a point in which, like, okay, like you're probably thinking about getting married soon. Like,
I think what would happen is that if we both just didn't have income 3 to 5 years from now.
And wait, it's not didn't have income. Like, with both of our things, like, we are making income. It's just not that much. I mean, you're making more now. You're making more. But for me, it's like just not that much income.
Well, at what point? Well, I think if we're making income, then why quit? Like, let's say you're making 10K a month and you're still trying. That's fine. Just keep going with 10K a month. Like, well, why would you ever leave? Unless you, like, it went down to 0.
At some point, if you're getting married and thinking about having a family, then you need more income, you know?
Yeah, I guess if you're stuck at 10K a month for 5 years.
Yeah.
And you're just, nothing you're trying is going up. It's like you're stuck at 10K a month for 5 years.
Yeah.
No matter who you ask, no matter what you invest into, it's just not working. But I feel like under that circumstance, it's never going to happen. If you're at 10K a month, you can get to 100K a month, I think, within 5 years. Maybe not 100K a month. I think you can get that.
That's not how startups work. Like, you get a 10K a month salary from your investment. It's not like your business is generating 10K a month in revenue.
Okay, fine. But like, why would your, like, if you're able to sustain your investment in the startup that you're paying yourself 10K a month for 5 years and it's still just like going along for some reason, but it's not growing at all. That's not really like common.
You try different products. Okay. Each time it fails, but during the time, like, you're able to sustain yourself with the 10K a month.
I guess that's different from you and me because you're getting investors.
With you get nothing unless you make money.
Yeah. I get nothing unless this channel generates money.
Yeah.
And for me, if I'm getting 10K a month, it means something I'm doing is actually working. Yeah. So why would I quit if I'm getting 10K a month for my channel? But I think for both of us, if there's a point where it's just like shown on paper time and time again, we just can't make entrepreneurship work. It's just not going to work out. 3 to 5 years from now, if I want a kid, I just need to go get a job and move on. That'll be the next thing. Having kids will be one of the three things.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We're going to make an announcement here that a lot of you guys have asked. And I think we look up to people like Ali Abdal, Tamer Abdal, and their podcast. So I'm officially announcing we're starting a podcast. And it's going to be called The Entropy Show. So you can go to entropy.show or search The Entropy Show or go to the link in the description to watch our first episode, which will be released alongside this episode. What do you want to talk about on that podcast, Aadil?
What do I want to talk about?
Elevator pitch.
Oh, the podcast in general?
Yeah, the one that we're launching.
That one's more of just like, when we were younger, probably 5 years ago at this point, again, Aman has mentioned him a lot of times, this guy, Ali Abdal, he has a huge YouTube channel now. He inspired Aman to start his YouTube channel. And both of us listened to his podcast with his brother. And that was just something we liked to listen to because we looked up to them and that they were, I think they're like 7-8 years older than us, but they're also from a similar background. Like they're both Pakistani too, interested in similar subjects. But it was just like a nice thing to listen to like hear about their lives, their ideas, like about how they approach things, what's going on in their lives, and how they look at things. And we were thinking that that might be useful for people that are younger than us to listen to as well. So that's why we wanted to start the podcast. It's probably just going to be about what's going on in our lives. Each time we talk. Yeah, so we'll probably bring some ideas. Usually Aman consumes a lot of content. I consume a little bit, but he has a lot of nice ideas from that content that he'll sometimes text in our family group chat. So we'll bring some ideas to discuss about. Yeah, like that's probably what it'll look like. So
yeah, absolutely. So that's the plan. Go to entropy.show and check out our new podcast. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for coming to the Aadil. That's today's episode of the Liftoff podcast. Thank you so much for watching. Now, if you want early access to every single one of these podcast episodes, head over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify or your podcast app of choice and follow Liftoff with Aman Manazir. That's right. You can listen to every podcast episode before it gets released on YouTube if you go over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or check the link in the description and hit subscribe. And finally, always remember, the night is darkest before the dawn. I'll see you in the next one.